Welcome to Golden Bachelor. If you love celebrity news and real entertainment updates, you're in the right place. Peg Munson and Mel Owens finally open up about marriage. For months, fans have been asking the same question. Are Peg Munson and Mel Owens finally ready to take the next step? After a long stretch of silence, mixed signals, and growing speculation, the couple has finally decided to speak, and what they shared surprised many. Peg Munson and Mel Owens have always had a relationship that feels different from the usual reality TV love stories. Their connection didn't rely on flashy moments or over-the-top gestures. Instead, it grew slowly, grounded in honesty, maturity, and real-life experience. That's exactly why fans have been so invested in what comes next. Now, after weeks of rumors swirling online, the couple is addressing the topic of marriage head-on, and their update is far more thoughtful than anyone expected. From the beginning, Peg and Mel have made it clear that they don't believe in rushing major life decisions. While many viewers expected a quick engagement, the couple chose a different path, one focused on understanding each other beyond the cameras. In their latest update, Peg shared that marriage has always been an important idea to her, but not something she wants to enter lightly. It's not about checking a box, Peg explained. It's about knowing you're building something that can last. Mel echoed that sentiment, emphasizing that at this stage in life, commitment means more than just a ring. For him, it's about shared values, daily support, and long-term compatibility. Their honesty immediately struck a chord with fans who appreciate a more realistic approach to love. Many supporters wondered why Peg and Mel stayed quiet for so long, especially as speculation grew louder online. According to the couple, the silence wasn't avoidance, it was intentional. Mel admitted that both of them needed time away from outside opinions to focus on their relationship privately. When everyone has an opinion, it's easy to lose sight of what you actually want, Mel said. Peg added that stepping back allowed them to have deeper conversations about finances, family, and future goals, topics that don't always make headlines but matter the most in real relationships. This period of reflection ultimately brought them closer, strengthening their bond rather than creating distance. This is the question everyone wanted answered, and while the couple didn't announce an engagement, they didn't shut the door on marriage either. Peg revealed that they are now openly discussing what marriage could look like for them, including where they'd live, how they'd blend their lives, and what kind of partnership they want long-term. "We're having those conversations now," Peg confirmed, "and that's a big step for us." Mel agreed, saying that while there's no set timeline, the direction of their relationship is clear. "We're moving forward, just at our own pace." That balance of excitement and caution is exactly what fans have come to admire about them. Once the update went public, fan reactions poured in, and surprisingly, most were overwhelmingly supportive. Rather than demanding a quick engagement, many applauded Peg and Mel for prioritizing emotional readiness over public expectations. Viewers praised their maturity and honesty, calling their approach refreshing and real. Some fans even shared their own stories, saying Peg and Mel's openness made them feel less alone in choosing patience over pressure in their own relationships. Like any couple, Peg and Mel haven't had a completely smooth journey. Adjusting to life after the show, navigating public attention, and balancing personal responsibilities tested their connection early on. Peg admitted there were moments when the weight of expectations felt overwhelming. Mel, meanwhile, spoke about learning how to support Peg while also staying true to himself. What helped them through those moments, they say, was communication, even when conversations were uncomfortable. "We don't avoid the hard talks," Peg said. "That's how we've grown." Perhaps the most revealing part of their update was how both of them described marriage not as a fairy tale ending, but as a partnership rooted in effort. For Peg, marriage represents stability, teamwork, and emotional safety. For Mel, it means showing up every day, even when things aren't easy. Neither sees marriage as something to rush into for appearances. Instead, they view it as a shared decision that should feel right for both people involved. Interestingly, Peg hinted that if and when marriage happens, it may not follow a traditional format. The couple have discussed keeping things simple, intimate, and focused on meaning rather than spectacle. "We care more about the marriage than the wedding," Peg said with a smile. That statement alone sparked conversation among fans, many of whom appreciated the idea of a celebration centered on authenticity rather than extravagance. While there's no official engagement announcement yet, the couple made one thing clear: they are committed to continuing their journey together. They plan to spend more time traveling, strengthening their relationship away from the spotlight and allowing their connection to evolve naturally. Mel summed it up best: "We're choosing each other every day. That's what matters most right now." Peg Munson and Mel Owens' wedding update may not have included a ring or a date, but it offered something far more meaningful: honesty. In a world where relationships are often rushed and exaggerated, their thoughtful, grounded approach stands out. Whether marriage happens sooner or later, it's clear that their bond is built on respect, patience, and genuine care. And for many fans, that's the most romantic story of all. Behind the scenes, Peg and Mel's relationship has continued to deepen in ways fans don't always see. Away from interviews and social media, they've been spending more time in everyday situations, cooking together, handling small disagreements, and learning how the other responds under stress. Peg revealed that these quiet moments mattered more than any grand gesture. "Anyone can look good in big moments," she shared, "but it's the ordinary days that really show you who someone is." Mel agreed, explaining that seeing Peg navigate daily challenges with patience and honesty made him more confident about their future. Those shared experiences helped transform their relationship from something exciting
Another
into
major
something
step forward
stable.
came when both Peg and Mel began having more serious conversations with family members. While they didn't rush to make announcements, they did start opening up about where the relationship was headed. Peg admitted these talks weren't always easy. Family members naturally had questions, concerns, and hopes of their own. But instead of feeling pressured, Peg said those conversations helped her feel supported. Mel added that involving family made everything feel more real, not overwhelming, but grounding. "When you start including family, it shifts your mindset," Mel said. "It's no longer just about two people dating." One reason Peg and Mel are moving carefully is because both have learned important lessons from past relationships. They've spoken openly about mistakes they don't want to repeat and patterns they're determined to break. Peg acknowledged that she once believed love had to move fast to be meaningful. Over time, she realized that lasting commitment requires space to grow. Mel shared a similar perspective, noting that experience taught him the value of patience and listening rather than trying to fix everything quickly. These shared reflections created a deeper level of understanding between them, one built on growth instead of regret. Being in the public eye hasn't always been easy. Peg admitted that seeing constant comments, predictions, and assumptions sometimes added unnecessary pressure. At one point, she questioned whether people were more invested in a wedding announcement than in their actual happiness. Mel explained that stepping back from public noise was intentional. By limiting what they shared, they protected their relationship from outside expectations. "We wanted to make sure our decisions came from us, not from headlines," Mel said. That boundary has helped them feel more confident and united. While Peg and Mel have clearly moved forward emotionally, they continued to resist setting a firm timeline. Instead of focusing on when marriage might happen, they're focused on how they want their future to look. Peg said that removing deadlines helped ease anxiety and allowed joy back into the relationship. "Once we stopped asking when, everything felt lighter," she explained. Mel nodded in agreement, emphasizing that certainty doesn't come from dates on a calendar, it comes from trust built over time. Even without formal plans, Peg and Mel have begun imagining a future together. They've talked about where they might settle, what kind of lifestyle they want, and how they envision growing older side by side. These conversations aren't about perfection, they're about alignment. Peg described these moments as reassuring rather than overwhelming. For Mel, they confirmed that they're walking in the same direction, even if the pace is slow. Longtime followers have started noticing subtle changes. The way Peg and Mel speak about each other, the calm confidence in their words, and the absence of uncertainty that once lingered. Many fans commented that the couple seems more grounded than ever, even without flashy announcements. Instead of asking, "Why not yet?" supporters are now saying, "This feels right." Perhaps the most powerful takeaway from Peg and Mel's ongoing journey is intention. Every step they take, or choose not to take, feels deliberate. They aren't avoiding commitment, they're shaping it carefully. Peg summed it up best. "We're not waiting out of fear, we're waiting because we care." As Peg Munson and Mel Owens continue their journey, one thing is clear. Their story isn't about rushing to a finish line, it's about building something meaningful, steady, and honest. Whether marriage comes sooner or later, the foundation they're creating now may be the strongest part of their story, and fans are still watching, not for a ring, but for the love that's clearly growing every day. As time passed, Peg and Mel noticed a quiet shift in their relationship, not marked by a single moment, but by a growing sense of ease. Conversations that once felt heavy now felt natural. Decisions came with less doubt. Being together no longer felt like a question, but a choice they both made effortlessly. Peg shared that one evening during a simple walk, she realized how calm everything felt. She said there was no pressure, no uncertainty, just peace. For Mel, that sense of calm was new and meaningful. It made him reflect on how rare it is to feel completely understood without needing to explain every thought. Trust didn't grow through dramatic promises, but through consistency. Peg noticed how Mel showed up in small but steady ways, checking in, listening without interrupting, remembering details that mattered to her. Mel, in turn, appreciated Peg's honesty, especially during moments of disagreement. Rather than pulling away, she leaned into communication, making space for both perspectives. We don't try to win arguments, we try to understand each other. That mindset strengthened their bond, making difficult conversations feel like progress instead of conflict. At some point, the topic of the future stopped feeling theoretical, it became personal. Peg admitted that she used to hesitate when imagining long-term commitment. Now those thoughts felt natural, even comforting. Not because everything was perfect, but because everything felt real. Mel said that imagining the future with Peg no longer felt like a risk, it felt like a responsibility he was ready to take seriously. It's not about certainty, it's about willingness. One of the biggest changes came when Peg and Mel fully released the weight of outside opinions. They stopped measuring their relationship against timelines or comparisons. Peg explained that once she let go of what people expected, she could finally focus on what she wanted. Mel agreed, noting that love doesn't need validation to be meaningful. "If it feels right to us, that's enough," he said. That shift brought a new level of confidence, not loud or flashy, but steady. Fans might not see grand declarations, but Peg and Mel's connection shows up in quieter ways. Shared routines, inside jokes, comfortable silence. Peg mentioned how something as simple as planning meals together felt significant, a sign of partnership rather than performance. Mel added that those moments made him realize how naturally their lives were blending. It's the everyday stuff that tells you you're building something real. Rather than viewing commitment as a single moment, Peg and Mel now see it as an ongoing choice, one that renews itself through patience, respect, and care. Peg said that commitment to her now means growth, allowing each other to change while still moving forward together. Mel described it as presence, being there even when it's not easy, especially then. This evolving definition brought them closer to the idea of marriage without forcing it. Without trying to, Peg and Mel have become an example for many who feel out of step with traditional expectations. Their journey shows that love doesn't need to follow a script to be meaningful. Fans have shared messages saying their story helped them feel more comfortable choosing patience, reflection, and intention in their own relationships. That impact hasn't gone unnoticed by Peg, who said she feels grateful that their honesty resonates with others.
Peg and Mel aren't focused on announcements or milestones. They're focused on maintaining what they've built: trust, communication, and mutual respect. Whether marriage comes into the picture soon or later, the foundation is already there. Peg summed it up simply: we're not rushing, but we're not standing still either. Peg Munson and Mel Owens' journey continues not with a dramatic reveal, but with quiet confidence. Their love story is unfolding in real time, shaped by patience and choice rather than pressure. And as fans continue to watch, one thing becomes clear: this isn't a story about waiting, it's a story about building. As the weeks passed, Peg and Mel began to notice something subtle but powerful. Their relationship no longer felt like something they needed to explain. Friends and family could sense it too. The way they showed up together, the ease in their conversations, and the quiet understanding between them spoke louder than any announcement. Peg shared that during a recent gathering, she caught herself watching Mel interact with people she loves. In that moment, she didn't feel uncertainty, she felt gratitude. "I realized how naturally he fit into my life," Peg said. "That feeling stayed with me." For Mel, the realization came during an ordinary day. Nothing dramatic happened, and that was the point. He felt content, grounded, and present in a way he hadn't before. While things felt steady, Peg and Mel didn't confuse comfort with complacency. They actively chose to keep growing, individually and as a couple. Peg talked about how important it was for both of them to maintain their own identities while building something together. Mel supported that fully, encouraging space for independence rather than seeing it as distance. "We don't lose ourselves to be together," Mel explained. "We bring our full selves." That balance created trust, not fragile, but resilient. At this stage, conversations about commitment became more personal and less hypothetical. They discussed what support looks like during hard seasons, how they handle stress, and how they want to show up for each other long term. Peg admitted these talks weren't always easy, but they felt necessary. "We're not afraid of real questions anymore," she said. Mel added that answering those questions honestly made him more confident, not less. For Peg and Mel, progress no longer meant following a traditional timeline. Instead, each step forward was defined by clarity. Sometimes that meant revisiting earlier conversations with new understanding. Other times it meant acknowledging how much they'd already built. Peg explained that she no longer viewed engagement or marriage as proof of love, but as an extension of something already strong. There were small moments that hinted at a shared future, planning months ahead instead of weeks, making space for each other's routines, and thinking in terms of we instead of me. Mel mentioned how natural those shifts felt. It wasn't a decision, it just happened. Peg smiled when she talked about those changes, describing them as reassuring rather than overwhelming. While Peg and Mel remained private, fans couldn't help but notice the shift. There was a calm confidence in their words, no defensiveness, no hesitation. Supporters began speculating less and trusting more. Instead of demanding updates, they expressed patience and encouragement. Many commented that whatever comes next will happen when it's meant to, and that felt like a shared understanding. At the core of Peg and Mel's relationship is respect. They respect each other's boundaries, experiences, and pace. Peg said that respect made her feel safe. Mel said it made him feel valued. Together, it created a partnership built not on expectation, but on choice. As they look ahead, Peg and Mel remain focused on the present, nurturing what they have rather than racing toward what's next. Whether their journey leads to marriage soon or later, one thing is clear: they're walking forward together intentionally. Peg put it simply: we're exactly where we need to be. Peg Munson and Mel Owens' journey continues not with a dramatic reveal, but with quiet confidence. Their love story is unfolding in real time, shaped by patience and choice rather than pressure. And as fans continue to watch, one thing becomes clear: this isn't a story about waiting, it's a story about building. Without making any formal announcements, Peg and Mel reached a place where doubt no longer dominated their thoughts. It wasn't that every question had been answered, it was that they trusted each other enough to face unanswered questions together. Peg shared that she no longer felt the need to brace herself emotionally. Instead, she felt steady. "I'm not waiting for the other shoe to drop," she said. "I feel secure." For Mel, that sense of security came from knowing they could handle challenges without turning against each other. The word forever began to appear more naturally in their conversations, not as a promise, but as a possibility they both respected. They talked about how they would support each other during difficult seasons, how they would celebrate wins, and how they would protect their relationship from unnecessary noise. Peg explained that these discussions felt grounding, not overwhelming. "It doesn't feel heavy anymore," she said. "It feels hopeful." Those closest to Peg and Mel began to notice subtle hints, a shift in language, longer-term planning, and a shared sense of direction. Mel admitted that thinking ahead no longer scared him. Instead, it gave him clarity. "I know what matters to me now," he said. Peg smiled when asked about the future, neither confirming nor denying what might come next. At this stage, commitment isn't about announcements or symbols, it's about consistency. Showing up, listening, choosing patience over pride. Peg said commitment now means feeling safe enough to be fully herself. Mel said it means being present even on ordinary days. Together, those choices created something stronger than any timeline. There's a sense that Peg and Mel are standing at the edge of a new chapter, not rushing into it, but not turning away either. They're taking time to appreciate where they are, knowing that whatever comes next will be built on everything they've already shared. Peg captured the moment best. "We're not waiting for permission anymore. We're just living." Supporters remain engaged, but the tone has changed. There's less urgency, more confidence. Fans seem to trust that when Peg and Mel are ready to share their next step, it will be genuine, not forced. And that trust mirrors the way Peg and Mel now feel about each other. Peg Munson and Mel Owens' story continues to unfold with quiet intention. There may not be dramatic reveals or sudden shifts, but there is something far more meaningful: clarity, connection, and calm certainty. Whatever the future holds, it's clear they're walking toward it together. Thanks for watching Golden Bachelor. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next big story.